What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video of me, Tom Dollimore. For those of you new around here who don't know by now, I started this season as the #1 ranked manager on the FPL Research Manager rankings, and this video series is where you can follow me and my thoughts throughout this season. So looking at how I did in game week 22, it wasn't a bad game week in the end. It feels like a low scoring game week. I got 47 points, but actually that was slightly better than most people did. So that's a nice little green arrow up to 81.4k. Running through the team, we had another clean sheet from the triple Arsenal defence, which is nice. And obviously Saka didn't start, so that was a nice little bonus as well. Van Dijk with another disappointing blank. When you'd expect a bit more. I think the point, I'm still comfortable with him, but he is frustrating. Then we've got Makile straight in with 6 points, which is great. So he was transferring for Tarkowski to fund Bruno Fernandes last game week. So that's nice to get straight in. I think Tarkowski got a couple more points, but yeah, obviously Bruno Fernandes moving into midfield got 10 points, which was very nice. Jumping on that early has paid off. It was a bit of a weird one that I made the move because it's like I said last week, I didn't like any short-term moves, and I felt, well, it turned out I was right. I needed to get rid of Cunha. I thought it was a minute's risk, and that ended up playing out perfectly because Cunha didn't start. And obviously it wasn't an ideal time to buy Bruno Fernandes because he had City and Arsenal. But I did kind of feel like the City game wasn't horrendous because they've just lost both their central defenders. They're not always great defensively anyway. And yeah, I thought that with the new manager bounce and Bruno probably playing in that 10 role, I just thought of all that together and thought, let's go for it. I want him long term anyway and see what happens, and obviously that's paid off quite nicely with 10 points. So obviously it's a bit of a harder decision this week because if you want to buy him this week, then it's Arsenal away. So I don't know how I'd feel in that situation. I don't think I'd be going for it, but obviously I've got him now, so he's going to be in my team. More disappointment with Szoboszlai, 0 points. They're super frustrating, and he's scored in midweek as well. In Champions League. Gordon, another blank, scored in midweek in Champions League. Very frustrating. Yeah, it's just like that. It proves I've got the right players because they're scoring goals just to win the right competition. So moving up front, we got Thiago with a blank. Now everyone's bought him, which is quite funny. But it was against Chelsea, so it wasn't a great fixture, so not a good time to buy him. But obviously I had him in my team, and he was someone that's going to start. So I didn't expect much, and I didn't get much. And then Haaland again with another disappointing blank, but it doesn't really matter too much because everyone's got him and everyone's captaining him. So it doesn't really move the needle much. Moving on to how I'm lining up for game week 23. So we've got the triple Arsenal defence again, but they're not going to save me every week. And yeah, this is one of those weeks where I wouldn't expect it. Kind of relying on those goals from Gabriel or Timber or assists. Nice bit of luck there. I just don't feel like they'll get a clean sheet. I think it could have been a one-off, but I think Man United's attack are pretty good. So yeah, I wouldn't expect it. I know Arsenal's defence are really good, but I still wouldn't really expect a clean sheet here. But you never know. We'll see what happens. Van Dijk. Bournemouth has lost so many players. I don't know if Tavernier's going to be back. Obviously he went off injured. He was someone I had my eye on as well, but I'd like to think, but I've said this I don't know how many times this season, I'd like to think Van Dijk can get a clean sheet in this game, but I don't hold out any hopes. Moving into midfield, obviously we've got Bruno Fernandes, I've already talked about. Szoboszlai against Bournemouth, I think that's another fixture. Obviously Salah's back, and it looks like Salah's going to be getting back in the team. I mean, it's been one game since he's been back, but it looks like he's going to be getting back in the team, and that obviously means Szoboszlai's off penalties, which is unfortunate, but I still think for at least this game he's okay. So he's going to be in the lineup. And then Gordon, Villa at home. I think that's a slightly better attacking fixture than most people perceive. I don't think Villa are that great defensively, and I think they've been overperforming. So, I mean, they're not bad, but they're not great. They're somewhere in the middle. So, I don't mind this fixture. Gordon scored in midweek, and let's just hope he can do something in this fixture. It's likely that this is the last week Gordon's in the team. His minutes haven't been great. Yeah, we'll see if we can do something in this fixture, and then he's probably gone. And then we've got the Man City duo, Cherki and Foden. This is the big decision. So last week I was looking at getting rid of one of these, but I ended up doing Tarkowski to Makile to fund Cunha to Bruno Fernandes. So the reason I did that is because of this Wolves fixture. I wanted to see what happened, and then I could make a decision of which one to start or potentially transfer out this week against a slightly better fixture. Obviously, it doesn't really feel like a good fixture or as good a fixture now. Wolves have been quite good defensively, and obviously Man City have been horrendous in the last 2 games. So it's a really difficult one now. When I made that decision, I thought I'd have more information and this might be an easier decision, but yeah, I think it's all up in the air now, and it's going to be the toughest decision because right here I've got them both in the lineup, but in reality it makes sense to try and predict the one that's going to start and bench him for Makile. So obviously Makile's got West Ham, which is a nice fixture for Sunderland. There is the option of keeping it how it is now, but I think only one of Cherki or Foden start. Really frustrating because I've done as much research as I possibly can at this point in time on this, and virtually everyone wants Cherki to start instead of Foden in that midfield position where Foden would play. At the same time, I think most people still think Foden's going to start. I think for weeks Foden's not been great, and Cherki, every time he's had an opportunity to show what he can do, he's been demonstrating that. He scored in the Champions League game. When he's come off the bench, he's looked really attacking, and he's got good numbers when in that short time he's been off the bench. It's just Pep just keeps playing Foden, and I can't. The difficulty is I really want to start Cherki and have that opportunity for that differential. And again, I think he'll be trying to prove that he deserves to be in that lineup if he does start. So I really want to start him, but at the moment, the logical thing to do, it's like I usually say with these 50-50 decisions, I tend to go with lower risk. So Foden has higher ownership. It makes sense to go with the majority in these kind of 50-50 situations. It's because if I go with the majority, Foden starts, does well, I do well with everyone else. If I don't go with the majority and I go Cherki and Foden starts, Foden does well, I lose out massively. Whereas if I go with Cherki and Cherki starts, I think that's probably the least likely scenario. And if Cherki does well, that's a less likely scenario. There's a small chance one of them doesn't get any minutes and I get Makile anyway. And if they come off the bench trying to prove something against Wolves, then that's not the worst scenario either. It's not technically optimal, and I don't think I'll end up doing it because I'll end up thinking it through in such depth that I'll end up doing the optimal best play. Moving up front, we've got Thiago, and I've actually got him vice captain. So I'm going to captain Haaland. I know there's a lot of talk about Haaland potentially being benched with Marmoush coming back. I don't think many people will not captain Haaland, so I go with the majority here. And if I look at the alternatives, I don't think there's any super captainable alternatives. The best alternatives, if I knew they were going to play, would be Foden or Cherki. But as I've just said, I can't rely on either of them. So I think I'm going to put the vice captain on the next best non-City player, which is going to be Thiago against Forest at home. But I think Haaland gets minutes anyway, no matter what. So I'm just basically putting myself in the same boat as everyone else, and I'm going to captain Haaland, and whatever happens, happens. It's not one where there's a massive standout alternative that I'm willing to take the risk on. And then obviously at the moment we've got Makile first bench, Rodon second bench. There's not a super obvious target this week. So I've said Gordon's probably on the hit list. After this Wolves fixture, Cherki and Foden will probably be on the hit list. But I'm not going to sell either of them against Wolves. If I look at the options, I mean, Shard has got the Forest at home fixture as well, but I don't really like him long term. Xavi Simons, Spurs, he's got Burnley away, but I'm not ready for Spurs players long term or even short term past that one fixture. Harry Wilson is probably the best potential. He's got Brighton at home, which is an okay fixture, but I'm not super excited about his two after that. And yeah, the problem is just this week there's not really any super exciting targets. So I think I just make this Cherki Foden decision. I've got enough depth to cover everything else. I think the players I'm starting are okay for this week. We just take it from there and roll a transfer and see what we do next week. I think there's a lot of potential in Game Week 24 for transfers. I think there's some good fixture swings. I think I'm definitely looking at Enzo Fernandez. I was looking at Tavernier, but it sounds like he's going to be out for a few weeks now, so that takes that option away. Palmer's still on the fence. It's very unlikely I go for Palmer because there's too much talk about this injury ongoing, and we just haven't seen him get the consistent minutes. It's too risky. We'll see what this next game week brings and how I feel after that. Yeah, all of that will be in 24, and those decisions will be from then. So this week I think I just hold tight on the transfers. Obviously, even if you haven't got Bruno Fernandes, Game Week 24 is the perfect fixture, start of the fixture run to bring him in. I put a tweet out earlier in the week about a more general football tweet where it feels like a weird time in the Premier League where like big talisman kind of players that when you're relating it to FPL, that you kind of have them as the pillars of your team, and like Aguero, the Kane, Son, Salah before this year, you never know, he might come back. Haaland's not on it, but obviously he's the only one that's in everyone's team. It's him and Bruno Fernandes. We had years of having those big players that you could rely on for your captaincy and your FPL points, and it feels like this season they've all disappeared, and the new ones coming through haven't really had the same effect. So, you know, we had kind of like Saka, Palmer. Saka's minutes aren't quite there. He's still an okay option, but he's a bit risky with the minutes. Foden was supposed to be coming through as one of these next big players, and he's not really getting there consistently. Personally, I feel like my team always seems like it's got a lot of players that I just don't feel super comfortable with and super excited about, and I just think it is that lack of really good nailed talisman players to rely on for your points. So yeah, it's just an interesting bit of thinking I've been doing lately is because I constantly feel like my team has minutes risks and or underwhelming players, and I just think there is not that same landscape of players in the game at the minute. So yeah, just a bit of insight into what I've been thinking about lately. But yeah, I think I covered last week, but just quick, I'm still penciling in wildcard for 32 for ready for when the doubles kick in, so I can prepare my team for them. So I'm kind of penciling that in and working towards sort of a dead end in 31, but it's still quite far away, so it's not too set in stone. But I think that's everything from me for this week. So I hope you have a great game week, and I will see you in the next video.